Taking off the gloves, I've had enough. It's in my blood. I was born for this.
All right, guys, welcome to the show. Tom Santinello here. We are talking NFL Week 12 predictions preview. We're talking spreads. We're talking everything for NFL Week 12. What's going on, Tom?
What's going on?
We got 3 matches on Gobble Day, Turkey Gobble Day on Thursday. We'll go over those, and then we've got the matchups throughout Sunday. And let's start off with Thursday's matchups here. And again, I got to tell you, I'm not really excited about these matchups, other than, the 8 o'clock game will be good. But again, it gives me some time to drink, have some fun, build up the excitement for the 8 o'clock game. What are your thoughts on these 3 matchups, starting off with Houston and Detroit, really?
Yeah, they're not that exciting. Houston, they got their 3rd win. Last week they beat the Patriots. I mean, I don't know. Detroit is the type of team, like they win a couple. They could have gotten the playoff hunt with the win last week, and they lose to the Panthers without their starting quarterback. I know Detroit had a lot of injuries. Yeah. They never had a healthy team either, and they really do miss Golladay when he's not there. But there's no excuse to lose to the Panthers like they did. Number
20
one,
20-0.
Yeah, I mean, it's just horrible. Stafford doesn't come. I know he misses Golladay, but he doesn't come. He can't do that. You're right. 20-0. The Detroit Lions are just, they're at home, but I don't know, man. I don't like this game. I don't even know what to say about this game. It just sucks. Like, the Texans aren't going anywhere. I think the Texans are going to win that game. Deshaun Watson, he put up more points than the previous week when I think they lost to the Browns, right? And they don't look that great either. I mean, I know they beat the Patriots, but I don't have much to say about that game. It's just one of the worst games on the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, you got Houston at 3-point favorite here, obviously coming off that win last week over the Patriots. Understandable why they're the favorite here, but I'm not expecting anything special here. I can imagine that when they came up with the schedule, they looked at the scenario. They thought Deshaun Watson, big year. Yeah. Even Washington football team in Dallas, a good divisional game. I would imagine that they would think that these guys would be fighting for some sort of, they kind of are for the division title, but I would have thought they'd be 3-7, right?
No, but other than that, the Lions are 4-6, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they should have won last week. They should be 5-5, and they should be in the playoff hunt.
Yeah.
It's really kind of sad because they, that whole division, like them and the Vikings dropped a bomb last week. They had a chance to pull 5-5, even with the Bears, who are on a downward trend. And it's just like, there's a lot of teases. A team will win 1 or 2 games and you're on a roll. Like, Seattle did that. They dropped 2 in a row. Green Bay did that this week. And then all of a sudden they go backwards. And the Lions, maybe that's what they are, a 500 team, a 7-9 team, something like that. But it's just inexcusable losses. And they tease you, just like the Vikings. They teased you. They won a couple games in a row. They were 1-5. Now all of a sudden they lose to the Cowboys. I mean, it's like nobody can really take control.
Yeah, I knew Seattle would bounce back versus Arizona. They lost the first one. I knew they weren't going to drop 2 to Arizona. And you got to kind of look at the trends. What goes up must come down. So looking at these Thursday games, November 26th, Gobble Day. I mean, I'm looking at it. I guess I'll watch Baltimore or Pittsburgh. The other ones I'll kind of have on in the background. I mean, you could make an argument that there could be an entertaining Washington-Dallas game, right? You could say Alex Smith is back, Dalton's now back, and it could be an entertaining game, both 3-7. Dallas is going to play their heart out, but again, they got to get America's team out on America's day. Well, day off anyway. So, I'm not excited, man. I'm just not,
that's a tough game because that's the Andy Dalton that we expected. I mean, listen, Andy Dalton's not a star, but he's should be a capable backup, but that's the Andy Dalton you expected, the first 2 weeks when I think they put up 3 points, whatever, before he got the concussion. Yeah. And he played better last week. CeeDee Lamb made a really nice catch in the end zone last week. Washington, I mean, they won, but they beat the Bengals, and Joe Burrow, I don't know if he played the whole game. I mean, sad story for him. I don't know how bad he's really hurt. But
ACL, he's out.
It's more than that. I mean, ACL, I've dealt with that a lot, 6 to 9 months. They're saying for him 9 to 12.
Wow.
So it's a little more structural damage, but nobody really knows unless you have the readings of the MRI. A basic ACL and the MCL, which you can fix that with the ACL. But they said there's a little more damage, so I don't know what that is. And that's how does that give you 3 more months? How bad is it? I don't know. We don't really know, but Cowboys, Washington, like I was going to say, I mean, Washington has Alex Smith. He's, they got 3 wins right now. They're playing better. Remember we said that Alex Smith is the best quarterback on that team if healthy. And I don't know how healthy he is. It looks like he knocks some of the rust off. He's not the Alex Smith of old. He definitely gives them the best chance to win. This is probably going to be a good football game. Andy Dalton, Alex Smith, not something you want to maybe like be super excited about, but I could see this being a really good game.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas 3-point favorite. But when I'm watching these games, I always try to watch with the intent that these guys could win the Super Bowl. When I'm watching teams that are 3-7, whatever it is, 2-8, whatever the record is, when it's a losing record, that like I just don't get excited about the game because I'm not watching a team that's going to make it to the end. I only want to watch the best of the best. This is why I watch NFL, Tom. I watch NFL because I'm getting the best football, right? I don't watch other leagues. I don't watch CFL. I don't watch other leagues because I know I'm getting the best of the best. And then when I watch the best of the best, I only want the best of the best teams playing. Those are the games I really enjoy. That's why I like fantasy, because that kind of keeps me into these type of games if you have any investment.
But the Cowboys, it's Thanksgiving. So if you're a football guy, it's got tradition. Hopefully, with the tradition, you can get a little interest in the game, I guess. But yeah. I like the Cowboys. I think, their defense has been playing better the last few weeks. Washington still doesn't, really excite me. I mean, how can they? But I think Dallas has been playing a little bit better.
Okay, the game that matters, Pittsburgh. They are now 10-0. Sorry, 10-0. Baltimore 6-4. We knew that Baltimore would fall off this year. We saw that. This is the primetime game. Steelers only a 5-point favorite. Are they due for a loss here, or are they going to continue going on?
You can look at this a couple different ways. Listen, they're 10-0. They've won their games. They won a couple close games. They've been pretty dominant in a lot of the games, but here's the thing. They don't have many quality wins. They beat the Titans and at the Ravens. I mean, can you call those 2 quality wins? Yes. Can you call the Browns a quality win? Yeah. I don't know. They're 7-3 and the Ravens are 6-4. The Ravens are in trouble now. They're not in the playoffs. Okay. Right. The season ended today, which it does not. And the Ravens have a very, very easy schedule after this game, but Pittsburgh doesn't have a lot of quality wins inside those 10 games, which, hey, they still won all 10 games. I get it. Are they due for a loss? I mean, yeah, sooner or later, luck's not going to be on your side, but they haven't really put luck. I mean, I don't want to say luck, but you know what I mean. In the last minute of a game, you get the ball last, you could win the game. I know the Ravens, that happened, the Cowboys, they pulled those 2 out. They could have lost those 2 games and they could be 8-2 right now. Yeah. So the problem is, I think what you should be saying, are the Ravens due for a win? Because what are the Ravens? They're 6-4, right?
Yeah.
They're not a bad football team, but they're not a great football team. I said that earlier in the season about the Ravens, and Lamar Jackson's not playing great. And let's hope this game goes on, because this is, there's a lot of positive tests over there in Baltimore. I think they'll be better. They got Gus Edwards starting. They don't have Ingram. They don't have Dobbins. I think Dobbins is their best running back, but I think they got to stop that 3-headed monster, which is not a monster, of a running back committee. It's not working. Yeah, it's not working. Like, stick to your guy and have a backup. Ingram obviously is not good enough to be a starter anymore.
He's done.
He gets hurt. Yeah, he's a good locker room presence. Listen, he's going after this year. It's going to be Edwards and Dobbins, but please don't do a split. Give one guy, 15 to 20 carries and the other guy the backup job. But you can't have 3 running backs, and they do like Gus Edwards there. But back to what I was saying, I don't know what your opinion is, but the Ravens, they beat the Browns. I mean, they lost to the Chiefs. I mean, they lost to the Steelers. They did beat the Colts. They lost to the Patriots and Titans. They don't have a lot of quality wins themselves.
Well, they don't have any wide receivers, and they're messed up, like you said, at the run game. And the problem is when you get a running back out there, take them out, they lose momentum. That's just me. Like, when I'm in the flow of things, whether a workflow, putting a podcast out, whatever it is, I'm in the groove. If you said, hey, Joe, start editing a podcast, start doing a podcast. Okay, we're going to take you out. We're going to bring someone else in. I got to get back in here. Okay, where were we right now? What were we saying? You lose momentum. I know I'm podcasting, football, totally different things, but I'm just trying to give the analogy of momentum. I hate it when, momentum's broken and these committees come in, and that's what every team seems to be doing. In regards to this game, I think it's going to be closer than people think. I still think Steelers run away with it. They got an easy matchup again next week. They could easily be 12-0 here. They got Washington football team next week, and they should be able to have their way with them. And then they got Buffalo the week after.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, so I was going to say, before you go on with the schedule, do you think they could go undefeated? You said they got Washington, then who? Buffalo?
Buffalo, yeah. Then the week after, I'm not sure who they're playing.
Cincinnati, Indy, and Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, they could go undefeated here.
I mean, Buffalo's I think they match up well against Buffalo, but Buffalo got beat up by the Titans. It's a weird, it's weird. This year it's about matchups, like we said. You know what I mean? Certain teams are like the Raiders match up great against the Chiefs. When the Ravens don't, I don't think so, and other teams won't. But the Raiders, I mean, and the Chiefs, if they play each other, that's a hell of a football game every time, I think.
Right.
And they probably go 5-5 in 10 games. But there's certain like the Bills don't match up well against, maybe the Chiefs. It's just the way the teams match up against each other. That's how you're going to find, I think, the champion in the AFC and NFC this year. But Indy's a tough team, man. They play Indy. They play the Bills. The spread started at 3. It's up to 5 now. That's a lot. They don't respect the Ravens anymore.
They don't. I understand why. Again, they have no receivers. I'm not sold on the Ravens at all. I mean, they've got Andrews at tight end, but
good.
Either way, these 3 games, again, not overly excited, but at least it's a day off for many of you guys. Enjoy your day.
Lamar Jackson's not like that's not their offense anyways. I'm not worried. I mean, yeah, I said that before. We said that they don't have a really good wide receiver. I know Marquise Hollywood Brown is complaining. He wants the ball. He's not ready for the ball to be that guy. He hasn't proved it, but Lamar Jackson can't sit back in the pocket and just sling it. You know what I mean? Like he's not, I don't see him doing that. And I just feel like he makes bad decisions when he does that, throws into double coverage. And when he's forced to do that, he excels when he gets outside the pocket and is a threat to run, but you can't always do that.
All right, let's move on here to the Sunday games. And I got to tell you here, I hate Atlanta. I can't I'm wearing a hat here because this is the first hat I grabbed today. But listen, Raiders lost, coming off that loss with the Chiefs. I can't stand Atlanta, and especially for fantasy. They all were the sucks of the week, from Hayden Hurst to Todd Gurley to Matt Ryan to Julio Jones, still dealing with that hamstring injury, whether you call it an excuse or not. They're a disaster. Vegas should have their way with them. They are up. They're a 3-point favorite here in this one. What are your thoughts on this one? Atlanta, just a disaster. All this talent and for nothing.
But you're talking about Todd Gurley, right? I mean, he hasn't had a good year. He hasn't had a good year this year. He's had some touchdowns he has 9 touchdowns, but other than that, he's got 610 yards. I mean, I think he's averaging 3.5 yards a carry, but the last 5 games, I think he's averaging 2.5 or 2.7 yards a carry. He's not playing well. He hasn't played well this year. Matt Ryan is like, whatever. I thought last week I was expecting a bigger jump from them against Taysom Hill. I thought they should have put some more points on the board. I'm sure you did too. But last week was a really big disappointment for them. I know when they had the new coach, they lost one, remember, against the Lions. Right. I think that's when Gurley went into the end zone, right? And then they beat the Panthers and the Broncos, 2 similar teams to the Falcons. They're probably a 4, 5, 6 win team in that range, and that's how they're playing, and that's who they are. The defense stinks. I mean, I think the Raiders are going to put up 30, 40 points against them. The Raiders, we just spoke about them. The Raiders are good. I said it early in the season. I said preseason when we did the preview shows, Joe, they're going to the playoffs. And I still stand by that.
Yeah, Derek Carr has really stepped up. I'm actually impressed with the way he's playing. And he looked pretty slick on a couple plays last. But again, anticlimactic at the end. Couldn't win game.
Oh, yeah, no, but that's not his fault. He didn't have a chance to win it. He took him down. He took him into the end zone, and Pat Mahomes had the ball last. Here's the problem. I'm concerned. Derek Carr, I don't believe, has ever won in the cold weather. And when the elements are there, I think they beat the Browns a couple of weeks ago. It was like 50-mile-an-hour winds, but it was 16-6. But that was different. When it goes to a cold weather, this is what I'm talking about, and they're not going to get home field. Home field in the playoff is going to be very important, and there's one team that gets a bye this year. Remember that, because there's 7 playoff teams. So home field is crucial in the playoffs. I don't trust Derek Carr in cold weather. I just don't do it until you prove me otherwise. He hasn't done it. So keep it up now, but I just don't think he's that kind of quarterback.
Raiders,
I'm very impressed with them.
Raiders have their way with the Falcons. Falcons, again, you might get a team that might perform that day, right? I can't trust the Falcons. They're just so unreliable.
I mean, listen, if Julio hits $150 and a couple touchdowns, Ridley has 100. Yeah, if they hit it on that. But their defense stinks. They're going to give up points to the Raiders. Yeah. And I think the Raiders are out for blood. John Gruden's he's calling great games. Like I said, I mean, I'm not blaming Carr for that loss. He took him down and scored a touchdown when he had to. He's been playing great this year. He has. And, it's funny. If they win that game, they're one game out of the they're 6-4. They would have been 7-3. The Chiefs would have been 8-2 if they won that game, and they would have been one game out of first place in the AFC West, and they would have won the tiebreaker. See how one game changes everything.
All right, we got no bye weeks this week for a team, so we got a lot of teams to cover. So let's rapid fire here. Chargers and Buffalo Bills here. 6-point favorite Buffalo. Buffalo's going to have their way with the Chargers. There's no way around it.
Yeah, this started, I think, at 5.5. Buffalo's coming off a bye. Speaking of bye weeks, Chargers coming off a win. They don't win a lot of football games, buddy. So they don't have a good coach. Listen, Justin Herbert, we're seeing him do well. It was against the who they beat last week. Oh, the Jets. I'm sorry. Whatever. It's a win. Yeah, it's a win.
They struggled with them 34-28.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, I get it. Listen, Chargers aren't that good. I think the Bills at home wallop the Chargers. But Herbert, I think, will put up some points in the third and fourth quarter. But I'm taking the Bills. The Bills are out for revenge. Remember, they lost on that Hail Mary play a couple weeks ago. Another game make a huge difference in the standings. A huge difference. That one game, that Hail Mary they gave up. And that was could have been a big win for them. The Bills show they belong, but they're not on that first tier, but I think they really if I'm the Bills, I want to come out and make a statement this week.
My man Austin Eckler's coming back. I don't really care. I think he's coming back. He might be a game time decision.
Well, I don't think he fits this offense. I don't know. We'll see. I think he's coming back too, but yeah, listen, he's a good player on the good team and he does a good job, but I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be a difference in this game or not.
On my social media, I told him, I go, listen, you're not a full workhorse running back. Sure enough, he chirps back and look who got hurt. He just can't handle the load. He's always been a backup, man. We'll see.
Never know.
Giants and Bengals here. Not much to talk about here. I mean, who's backup to Joe Burrow? I haven't even looked at who the backup is.
Would you ever thought the Giants would be a 6-point favorite?
Yeah.
It's funny. Joe Burrow was a big difference on this team. They just Finley was the backup, but they just announced they're starting Brandon Allen.
Oh,
and you're asking, who is Brandon Allen?
Who is that?
He comes from Arkansas. I think he was drafted. I don't know if he was even drafted. I think he played in Arkansas in like 14, 15 or something. He stinks. There was a lot of flack in that Bengals game about people saying, "Oh, they should have ran the ball. They should. What are you going to do? Run the ball on 3rd and 2? Like, who cares? Are you going to run the ball every play?" Listen, Burrow made a really idiotic play when Chase. I don't know if you saw it when Chase Young knocked him out at the goal line. Almost knocked him out, and it was a fumble. But the Bengals don't have a good offensive line now. They don't have anybody. I mean, maybe I don't think Brandon Allen's any good. But the Giants are 6-point favorites. The Giants, here's what I'm going to say, though. The Giants have been playing the best football in the NFC East, and they had a bye week. Maybe they lose some momentum. But remember, they just barely lost to Tampa. They won a couple in a row after that. They're on a roll. So
Jones got swag now.
Yeah, I'm taking Giants. I'll even take the points in this one. Screw it. I mean, I'll take -6. I never thought I'd say that, but the Bengals without Burrow is. I mean, they could be in the number 1 pick sweepstakes now.
Yeah, Daniel Jones got some wheels, man. That guy can run, believe it or not.
Yeah. I think the Bengals, I don't know if they'll win another game. I mean, they're terrible right now. They're going back to what they were last year.
Okay, here's a weird one here. They played in week 10. They're playing again. Why did the scheduling happen? Colts had their number. They beat the Titans, but Colts the favorite here, 3.5-point favorite. But Tennessee coming off a huge win last week against Baltimore in overtime where Derrick Henry just ran all over them. But you got to look at this here. I mean, Colts are the favorite here. Again, similarly to what happened. Now, if you're a betting man, similarly to what happened with Arizona and Seattle, this is a game where Tennessee could actually win this game and at least cover the spread, 3.5, divisional game. What do you think on this one? This is going to be a good one.
You just told me Tennessee had a big win, but I think Indy had a bigger win. Because remember I told you that Green Bay, and we'll talk about them later, they always fuck up. Like they another tease. Then they lose to a more physically dominant team. But Green Bay was up. They were up like, 28-14, or I don't even remember the score. They were up by a couple scores. But I didn't think Indy could actually come back in that game. And I thought Indy if they get the lead, their defense would take over. I didn't think they could win it this way, but I knew they could win the game. And, when you look at this game, it was 28-14 at the half. And then in the second half, it was 17-3. And the Packers only scored that 3 in the fourth quarter to get to overtime. And then in overtime, obviously 3-0 Colts. But listen, that game, Jonathan Taylor, I know he didn't put up touchdowns. I know you're probably not happy. You're fantasy fans, 22 for 90. That's good. That's what they need out of him. in order to have a good football game and a chance to beat anybody. Okay. Rivers, he had 288 yards, 3 touchdowns, a pick. Like I said, you can't rely on him all the time because he doesn't have what he used to have. Pittman stepped up, had a big play I think it was a touchdown, that big play. He spreads the ball around, Rivers. You know that from his days in San Diego. That's what he does. Hey, I just think Indianapolis, they won by 2 touchdowns last time they played Tennessee. That threw me for a curveball. I didn't think they'd win that much. I'm taking Indianapolis again because I think Tennessee's a little bit overrated as well. I've always said that. I know you're a man crush. Was that your first man crush?
Yeah.
Hill came through last week. Can he come through again?
I think your hate is kind of provoking you towards Indy. And I'm an Indy fan. Look, I got Peyton Manning in his prime right behind me. You see him? I got an Andrew Luck hat. So
yeah, I know.
Legend. But listen here. When it comes to this matchup, I'm going Tennessee again, at least to cover the 3.5. I think the momentum, but both got momentum. But the thing is, Indy beats Green Bay. I don't know if I even trust Green Bay because Green Bay was struggling with Jacksonville a week or two ago.
They don't have a good defense. And you know what? They had their wide receivers back, though, last week for like the first time. But you know what? You just said Indianapolis, all right, maybe they have a couple big – well, they lost to the Ravens a couple weeks ago, and that was – 24-10. They couldn't put up points, but they had some turnovers. Are they teasing now? Are they going to come here and get crushed by Tennessee, who they just beat 2 weeks ago?
Right.
They're 2 solid wins, one of them Tennessee. Like you said, odd scheduling. But this is a game that can go either way.
All right. Cleveland and Jacksonville. Cleveland only a 6.5-point favorite here. 7-3 versus 1-9. I don't know what to tell you about this one, man. What are your thoughts on this? It should be
Mike Glennon is starting for quarterback for Jacksonville.
Is it not Luton or Lutton or whatever his name is?
Benched him.
Oh, they benched him. Okay, see, I don't even follow Jacksonville games.
Yeah, it came out over the wire. Now you're talking about Mike freaking Glennon.
He's still around.
Here's the problem. Yeah, I guess so. Here's the problem. Cleveland has been playing very good defense. Okay, Cleveland is friggin' 7-3. In second place in the AFC North, okay?
Yeah.
But I know you don't like Odell, but since he went down, they're not putting up a lot of points. And I'm not saying he was the reason they were putting up more points. I just think with him on the field, it's more of a threat. It takes away the number 1 DB. I think they're missing Odell because they're not putting up a lot of points.
Right.
Okay, I really do think, and that's something that doesn't show up in the box score. I think Cleveland is struggling to score. I think they need a big week. They put up 22 against Carson Wentz and your boy.
I hate that.
Horrible. And the Texans, they put up 10 the week before. Yeah. I know you're leaning on Nick Chubb, and you need to lean on Nick Chubb because Nick Chubb is good. Nick Chubb was good last week. I think even Hunt played well last week, right?
Great stiff arm by Nick Chubb. I don't know if you watched that play.
I didn't see the stiff arm.
Where he threw a guy. He threw
really?
Yeah.
It's funny because the 3 losses for the Browns are the Ravens, the Steelers, and the Raiders. And the Raiders, that game was in like 50-mile-an-hour winds. That's a tough game. They have a really good quality win against the Colts. They beat a bunch of bums like the Bengals, the Washingtons, the Cowboys, the Bengals again. So, they beat the Texans. They beat the Eagles. They'll beat the Jaguars. Then they play the Titans and the Ravens. And then the Giants, Jets, and Steelers. So I think at the end of the day, you're going to see Baltimore take a leap over them probably. But this, playoff spot could come down in a couple weeks when they play the Ravens. But I will be taking Cleveland this week. I don't know if they're as good as their record is. I think it's a little inflated right now.
Yeah. I guess I just read Mike Glennon, first start in 3 years. The guy's 30 years old. I can't believe he's still around. It's one of those games that just forget about him. Desperate times, right? You start Mike Glennon. Can't you find somebody else? Is that all you got? This is the weird thing. There's so much talent in the States. I'm sure there's got to be a better quarterback than Mike Glennon to start.
That's one position where you don't have enough talent. But look at the Bengals. They just went to their 3rd string quarterback. Remember I told you early in the season you had, the Cowboys went to Andy Dalton and paid him money. The Raiders signed Mariota. Now, don't you wish you at least had Mariota if you were one of these other teams? But the difference is the Raiders are in the playoff hunt. The other team I just mentioned is in the playoff. The Cowboys are actually in the playoff hunt. They would do better, but they're in the playoff hunt in that division. They're all got 3 wins. Joe Flacco for the Jets, I'm sure he would be a better option than these two guys. It's just, the Niners, look, they don't have a good backup quarterback and they're 4-6.
Yeah.
So the backup quarterback matters. It really does matter. I mean, Carolina's backup came in last week, and what did he do? He won. I don't think he's that good. He's played the XFL. He's been cut 35,000 times.
Walker.
Right? Yeah, PJ Walker. Whatever. He knows the offense because he played for Rule at Temple in college. He played with Robbie Anderson at Temple. But the backup quarterback's important, man. I mean, the Saints have two. Why didn't another team sign Winston? But these teams didn't even have a shot at the playoffs, the Bengals and the Jaguars anyway. You're better off getting a better draft pick, I guess.
All right, must-win situation here for the Vikings. 4-6 versus the 4-7 Panthers. Panthers coming off a win. Vikings coming off a loss. Vikings got to win this one, and they should run all over Carolina. I mean, Dalvin Cook should run wild this game. 4-point favorite are the Vikings. Well, I mean, I don't know about this one, man. What are your thoughts?
Bridgewater's supposed to come back for this one. I think he's going to play, supposedly. I don't think McCaffrey's playing. And, I mean, the Panthers played good last week. Their defense stinks, and they shut out the Lions, who I don't know what's wrong with them. But the Vikings really, like you said, they teased. They won 3 in a row. You expected them to come into this game 5-5 and win this game and be 6-5 and in the playoffs, or in the playoff hunt. What Minnesota team are you getting? Is Kirk Cousins going to come in? Their defense stinks in Minnesota. That's the problem. So if they get in a shootout here, it's anybody's game. I think you hit it on the head. They have to give it to Dalvin Cook and control the clock and keep their defense off the field. That's the route I'm going.
Arizona, New England. Arizona 2-point favorite here, coming off a loss. They got to win here. They're the better team, in my opinion. But you never know, man. New England's defense possibly steps up. Somewhat neutralizes Kyler Murray. What are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, Bill Belichick neutralized Lamar Jackson. I know it was raining out and stuff. I think he's going to do the same to Kyler Murray. I think the Patriots win this game. I think it's going to be, they're underdogs at home by 2 points. I think they're a better football team overall than the Cardinals. I still don't believe in the Cardinals defense. I know the Cardinals have Murray, to Hopkins, and that's, 2 really good players that the Patriots don't have. I think the Patriots are going to try to pound it and run the ball and beat them up, and I think they will do that because Arizona's defense, like I said, is not that good, and they know that in Arizona. They're moving players around. They're doing things like that. But I think Belichick is going to try to keep Murray in the pocket, and I think he's going to have a really good game plan like he did against Lamar. And I just think Belichick's going to outsmart him, and I think they win this game by, single digits, obviously, but I think they win this game by, under 6 points, under a touchdown.
All right, Miami coming off a loss here, 6-4.
Oh, Joe.
Let's not talk about
Tua. Can you believe that? Brian Flores has to be ashamed of himself. Did you see what they did when they pulled Tua I think it was in the fourth quarter?
Oh, yeah. What happened? I know Fitzpatrick came. What was the reason? I didn't watch this game.
Because he wasn't performing. I mean, first of all, Tua hasn't lost as a starter. I don't think he lost as a starter. The guy I think they were down 10 points or something like that. But why, the kid's been a winner at Alabama. You're benching him for Fitzpatrick. You don't take out if you went to Tua, if you went to Tua 3 weeks ago, why are you going, or 3 or 4 weeks ago before the bye? Why are you going to take him out? That means you don't believe in him. You're down 10. Let the kid produce. Let him show the magic, or let him learn on the job. That was the dumbest coaching move that you can do. Not only does that could that hurt Tua mentally, but that could lose the faith in your teammates for not believing in Tua. That's be like, our coach doesn't believe. Your coach does not believe in Tua. And the teammates are saying that. That's what they're saying. Like, shit, they don't even believe in him. So if it's in the fourth quarter, he's running the 2-minute drill. What are you going to bench him for Fitzpatrick? That was the dumbest thing that you could do.
I agree. They weren't being blown out. Well, it's 2013 is what they lost by. It's not like it was a huge blow.
I think Fitzpatrick, it was 20-10, right? I mean, I'll check that right now, but I think it was 20-10, and Fitzpatrick took him to for a field goal, I believe, right?
He threw an interception, though. I remember, Fitzpatrick.
Well, Fitzpatrick stinks, first of all. They aren't even a bad football team. I mean, they got a good defense. I mean, they're not horrible. They're not a great team. But, I mean, Fitzpatrick, he had a pick, 12 for 18, 117. I mean, Tua wasn't playing well, 11 for 20, 83, and a touchdown. But we said this before. He hasn't thrown for a lot of yards, but he's winning ball games. Like the opposite of Herbert. He's winning ball games, right? But we did say it was his defense and special teams that were carrying him. But you got to give the kid a chance to perform. This is why you drafted him, and you wanted a winner. Let the kid go pull a Tom Brady 2-minute drill or come back in the fourth quarter, whatever it is. You know what I mean? I don't know exactly when he was benched. I think it was at the beginning of the fourth, but I'm not exactly sure. It might have been the end of the third, something like that. I'm shocked. You went to Tua a month ago, and now you're taking him out in the middle of a game where you're down and show you like, hey, what do you got, kid? Show me what you got. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that bothers me. That bothers me as well.
That was terrible coaching. Are they going to beat the Jets, Joe? Of course they're going to beat the Jets. I hope if I'm Tua, I come back and I drop 5 touchdowns and I get, and give the finger to Flores. Like, it's just disrespectful to Tua and to his teammates who are believing in him. And he's the leader of the team. He's not the captain, but I don't think he's a rookie. But I was just pissed at that. I think they come in, they blow away the Jets and whatever. But they're not a great team either, Joe. They don't have a lot of quality wins, and they're sitting up here in the top of the division right underneath the Bills. So they're not a great team either. So, I mean, I just think you let Tua learn on the job, and they're really playing for next year. That's what we said before. We always been saying their record's been inflated, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like, I'll say this before we move on to the next one. I want to spend more time on this, but they got the Jets and the Bengals. So that's 2 more wins. They're going to be 8-4.
Yeah.
And then they play the Chiefs, Patriots, Raiders, and Bills. So yeah, you're going to see what Tua is made of eventually. So stop taking him out, Brian Flores. That was horrible.
I agree. I mean, that could light a fire under his ass, but still, I mean, it just takes your morale down.
But see how you're going to say, like, you're going to be 8-4 most likely, right? Then you're playing those 4 teams: the Chiefs, the Patriots, the Raiders, and the Bills.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Let's see.
Right. Speaking of good teams and playing good teams, I mean, Saints, that's a good team. They are good. They're a 5.5 point favorite here. I'm surprised. I think that spread should be higher. They had their way with Atlanta. And I mean, if they had their way with Atlanta, I mean, who knows? I mean, Denver, I'm not sold on Denver being a good team.
That's tough, man. They're not a good team, but they stay in a lot of the games. I know they got blown out a couple weeks ago. The thing that worries me, I think Taysom Hill had a good game, but I think teams will catch on to his style of play. Atlanta has a terrible defense. I still don't think everybody buys into the Taysom Hill thing. I think you need more of him. Yeah, you know how like the second time around you see more of the quarterback, you put a stop to him. Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't watch much of that game. I thought Atlanta was actually going to do the upset, but I don't know. Saints have a decent defense. They held him in it, and hey, I got to give Taysom Hill credit, right? I mean, you have to at this point. You have to give him credit, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he reminds me of like Tim Tebow. Do you remember when Tim Tebow would come in, he'd run, he'd be like, yeah, and he'd run out. It's Tim Tebow 2.0. I don't see a difference.
I think he played better. I mean, he was 18 for 23, 233 yards, 10 carries, 51 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But he's a bit, yeah, you're right. He's not like Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray. When he runs the ball, he's like, 240 pounds of pure muscle.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a punishing runner, but that's going to wear on you, so they beat up the Falcons. Can they beat up the Broncos? I don't know. Broncos are better. I mean, I can see the Broncos winning this game.
Yeah. Next matchup here, Rams 49ers. And the Rams look like they're the real deal. They had their way with the Buccaneers defense. What do you think? I mean, they beat the Buccaneers. That was a team that we had in our, potentially top 5 power rankings. And the Rams are for real. What do you think?
It's funny you say that because the Rams just beat the Seahawks and the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Okay. The Rams don't put up a lot of points anymore. I mean, early in the season, they put up, 37 against the Eagles. They lost to the Bills, but they came back and they almost took that one. But before that, their best win was against the Bears. Okay. And I mean, they got beat by the Dolphins a few weeks ago, but I'm going to chalk that up to the Dolphins defense and special teams in a bad game to the Rams. And I agree with you. I think the Rams are, I think they're better than what we think they are. They're playing the Niners, the Cardinals, Patriots, Jets, Seahawks, Cardinals to wrap up the season. And the next 2 games, the Niners and the Cardinals, if they can win these 2 games, they're going to be in the driver's seat to fight for the division with Seattle at the end. So they listen, they have a good defense. They have a good offense. They don't have a great offense, but they have a good enough offense to put 25 points up a week, 24, 27, whatever. And if their defense holds the opponents like they did to Seattle to 16, Buccaneers to 24. But one thing you got to look at, Tom Brady, when he throw those picks, I've never seen him throw stuff like that. It's almost like he thought the safeties weren't even there.
Yeah.
It wasn't good defense by the safeties. They were just standing there and the ball went to him. He's taking these deep shots that honestly, I know people might not agree with me, but I think part of the problem is Arians' play calling because he's taking these deep shots down the middle of the field and there's safeties just sitting there. And I know Brady shouldn't make that decision to throw it there, but it's almost like he's like trying too hard to make a big play.
Yeah, I find he's airing it out more than he typically does. He's not working down the field the same that he used to. They get different coaching. That definitely plays a factor.
Isn't it Leftwich that's the OC over there? I think that's bad play calling, and nobody will say that, and they'll blame Brady because he's still making the throws. You know that.
Yeah.
But did you watch? I mean, it's right into the guy's hands, and it's like that's the guy's just standing there. 2 times that happened. I'm like, how do you not see him? It's weird. That was weird, man. Some people I spoke to said he just looked old, but that first half he was okay. And I know you don't like Antonio Brown, but he should have went to him more. The guy, first of all, if you got Jalen Ramsey on Mike Evans, AB's on the number 2 corner, he was open every time.
Right.
And I'm not saying, listen, I like Antonio. I think he's the best receiver in football, one of the top 2 or 3. Why not? And he was open on some of those deep patterns that he didn't throw him to. He's forcing the ball to Mike Evans. And I know Mike Evans made a good play here and there, but I just think Antonio is you're right, though. Moving the ball down the field on the shorter routes, that's Antonio's go-to. Those ends, those slant, like that's what he does. And he's forcing it to Gronkowski sometimes because that's his homeboy. And I don't know, man. I was scared by the Bucs. I know we're talking about the Rams, but I'm sorry, we're talking about a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of, I think there's a pecking order here too, and I think Antonio's like the wide receiver 4 on that team. You know,
you know what? I think he's turning into the wide receiver 2 on that team because Godwin is making some plays too, but I think Brady's trying to spread the ball around. But I'm going to tell you 2 things really quick. Antonio had 8 for 57. He led the team in receiving. Godwin 7 for 53. Evans 5 for 49. But look at the targets. Antonio did have 13, but I thought he should have had more. I mean, Antonio's better than Evans and Godwin. He's open. You know what I mean? He's open more because he's so good at separating, and maybe he doesn't have the rapport yet with Brady. But they didn't run the ball, Joe. Your boy Rojo, 10 for 24. Fournette 7 for 17. Fournette dropped like 3 passes.
I think there's some politics there as well. I think Fournette, I was hearing they were saying that he's complaining or something like that he's not getting the ball.
Well, he's another guy that needs 20 carries. But Ronald Jones, they gave him the ball 2 weeks ago and he performed. You know, I mean, last week or whatever, but he's not performing right now.
Right.
He's not getting the ball. I know he had 10 for 24, but I don't know. I don't like the game planning over there in Tampa. And I know people are blaming Brady and whatever, but they're another team. Like they play good, you know, they teach, you know, then they're not. You're right. They were top 3 in the power rankings, top 2 even at a time, I think for us, top 3 maybe. But anyways, I mean, I think
this is our next matchup, KC and Tampa Bay. So we've covered Tampa Bay, but to wrap up 49ers and the Rams here. Rams should have their way here. It's a divisional game, could be tighter, but 7-point favorite. You know, 49ers could cover that spread, but I still think
Rams coming 49ers off a bye, right? 49ers could surprise you and run the ball and keep it close, you know? I mean, I don't know. I don't even going to touch that game. But the Rams, like another thing, they win a couple big games and they disappoint. So I think this could be a game they disappoint, but half of San Fran is on the IR, on the, you know. So anyways, what are you talking about? Chiefs and Tampa next?
Yeah, we already talked about Tampa. We kind of broke them down.
But this is a good game.
Yeah, it is a good game.
But this is a game that I think Tampa could win because I think they have a good enough defense. Their defense played well against the Rams last week. I mean, even JPP had an interception. I think they could. And the Chiefs, I don't know, like, you know, they look beatable this year. We said this before, and I'm going to probably say it again. I mean, the Raiders beat them, but they almost beat them again. I mean, the Panthers came back. The Chargers took them to overtime. The Patriots beat them up for 3 quarters. Remember that?
Yeah.
So it's like they're beatable. They don't look as good as last year. Although last year, the second half of the season is when, you know, after Mahomes came back from injury is when they really put it in sync. I think a team needs to come here and make a statement and win by over 10 points. I think you're going to see teams trying to make a statement. Both teams.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay actually could win this one. They're going to cover the 3.5. They could actually win this one.
Yeah.
All right, Chicago, Green Bay. This one's an easy one for me. I'm going to go Packers. Bears, I told you, we talked about them being pretenders, and they are. They're 5-5 now. That 5-0 record is now, have they lost 5 in a row now?
They were
What were they? 5-1, or I can't remember what they were. Either way, they're winning like crazy, and they're losing now.
Well, the Bears were 5-2. They won their first three. They were 3-0. They lost one, and then they won two. They lost to the Colts 19-11, which they could have won, I think. And then they lost 4 in a row. But Joe, the Bears, like something crazy. They score. I mean, Mitch Trubisky, I think, averaged more points at quarterback than Foles has.
Yeah, he's definitely more aggressive. I mean, Foles doesn't put up points, period.
And I don't know who's playing. Foles, they said, is better than expected right now because remember, he got hurt. And I don't know, Trubisky seemed to like disappear. I don't even think he was the backup for a point. I think it's because of his shoulder.
Why don't you give up on Foles at this point? Give up on Foles. He's not winning.
This is the thing, Mitch, and this is what we just said about the other QB, Tua. Trubisky, he came back in the fourth quarter. He looks like trash because he is trash. But who's a bigger piece of trash, Trubisky or Foles? Now, Foles is that miracle man that does this and does that, comes back in the playoffs. I don't care. He lost. He looks like shit.
Yeah.
And granted, they did play the Rams, the Saints, the Titans, and Vikings. That's tough football, man. That is tough football. But you look, they got beat by the Rams 24-10. They lost by 3 to the Saints, a touchdown and 6 points to the Vikings. I mean, they're in every game because of their defense. We said this before. Their defense can keep them in every game. I think it's going to be closer than people think in this game, but they haven't announced the starter yet. I'm worried about the Bears because they're a team that right now is in the are they in the playoffs or are they like the next team in or something like that? I mean, listen, I know the season doesn't end today, but if you look at the playoffs right now, they're the 8th seed and there's only 7 teams in the playoffs. They're 1 game behind the Cardinals. They have a legitimate chance to make the playoffs. But I just told you, you go to Trubisky. Trubisky, you average more points. He put up more points than this other guy, than Foles. So, I mean, they got a win. They can get in the playoffs.
This is a huge game for them because the Packers are 7-3, Bears are 5-5. So if they lose this and the Vikings win, the Vikings tie them. They're going to be tied.
Yeah. What about the Packers though? Because look at the Packers. They disappoint you or what last week?
Yeah, they did, but I still think they have a hold on this. As long as Vikings and Bears keep losing, Packers keep winning, they can hold this division down. But again, they'll both be 5-6, or would they be 6? No, Packers. Yeah, they'd be 5-6 if the Vikings win and the Bears lose. Then I got 2 5-6 teams, and the Packers they could be 8-3 and really take a hold of this division, right? If they win.
You would say so because they don't have any competition. Mm-hmm. Like if Chicago wins, they're 6-5, and then Green Bay's 7-4.
Detroit as well, they're 4-6, right? So they got
to see Chicago like running the table either and like taking over the Packers. I know what you're saying.
No, yeah, Packers are going to win this division. That's an easy one.
But I mean, that's another one. They should be 8-2. They should have beat the Colts. Yeah. I mean, it kind of disappointed me last week. Devontae Adams, he had 100 yards. Lazard, was trash. He only got 4 targets though. Not really his fault. He's throwing to Valdez Scantling more. Aaron Jones, 10 for 41. They're not running. Basically, they should have ran the ball more. That was one of their mistakes. But I think Indianapolis last week had better coaching and they just came out on top. I think this is a game that this will give Green Bay trouble though. And I would take the 9 points in this game for sure.
All right, let's move on here. The final game. This one's a stupid game. And I'm assuming when this was written and the schedule was done that they thought that it'd be entertaining. But again, people drinking the Kool-Aid that they think Carson Wentz is actually good. Seattle 6-point favorite over the Eagles. They should smash them. But
everyone's talking shit about the Eagles, and it's like Carson Wentz. I mean, I think they said over the last few years he has like the most fumbles out of any quarterback, or second most, or something. I think he has the most.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's like he threw for 235. He had 2 touchdowns, which is okay, but then he had 2 picks last week, and he had a fumble. Yeah, and they didn't turn over that fumble, but it's still a fumble. I know he doesn't have a great line. Listen, he's got Miles Sanders, a good running back. He's a good running back, right? You know that, even if he's not putting up the stats, like, the points and stuff, I'm saying fantasy-wise, he's a good running back. Their receivers, they got Goddard. It's a great tight end. I think he's good. I think they're going to get rid of Ertz after this year. Their receivers aren't that great, but they're doing a good job, their receivers, actually. They're, what they have, you know what I mean? Like Alshon Jeffrey's trash. He didn't even he went to Fulgham 7 times. He only had 1 catch. So
interesting fact on Carson Wentz: 14. He leads the league with 14 interceptions right now. He's terrible. He's absolutely terrible. In regards to attempts, he throws a lot, right? He's 5th in attempts, but again, throwing a lot of interceptions. So you're getting the volume out of him, but you're not getting, you're not getting efficiency, right? So 100 when they paid him $128 million, I was just like, man, this is a huge waste of money. Like, why are
they paid him off that? I mean, he was like 13-3 that year, right? Or whatever. Yeah. He got 12. I don't know how many games Foles played at the end of the regular season. I think it was the Rams game he got hurt. But I mean, listen, but he was phenomenal that year. Like, you have to look at what he did that season. I mean, I know that like look at Cam Newton. No, 2015 was his only great season. Like, it was his only great season. But look at Wentz. In 2017, he played 13 games, 33 touchdowns and 7 picks in 13 games. I mean, if he played 3 more games, he would have had 40 touchdowns and 8 or 9 picks.
Oh, we got to lock this guy up. He's a keeper. Yeah. And then,
See, this is the problem that I tell, and I have experience on this side. When you pay players too early, sometimes it bites you. You think you're getting a discount. They figured if they waited another year until, because with the first round picks, you can exercise them into the 5th-year option and have them for 5 years. I don't want to say like they're doing with Dak, because Dak was a 3rd-round pick, so they only had him for 4 years. But look what they did with Dak. They didn't sign him after a couple years. Now they regretting it now, I believe, after 3 years. But it's the opposite with Wentz. If they kept him for the first 5 years, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, I think he only played 5 years right now. He could still be under that contract on a 5th-year option. Can you believe that?
I saw that he wasn't that good. I'm not a scout. I'm not a coach. I'm not an owner. But why can't they see through the bullshit sometimes? Can't you not tell that this guy is not? He's not Tom Brady.
Listen, I don't know the guaranteed money off the top of my head, but they locked him up to 2024. But do you see my point? They could have kept him for the 4 years and kept him on that rookie deal, and then the 5th-year option, which is like average of top 10 quarterbacks or something. But when, like, how the Falcons, they paid the Rams paid Todd Gurley too early, and then they regretted it, right?
Yeah.
A lot of these teams regret the signings too early. They paid Goff really early. Now, can you say they regret that? You could have last year, but he's playing well this year. And who else are you going to replace him with? Quarterbacks different, but they paid Wentz, I think, way too early. But they thought they were getting a discount because they thought he was going to come back and put up 40 touchdowns, 35 touchdowns every year. So they figured they were saving like $5-10 million a year if they waited this long. That's what I think.
Let's put it this way. There's a lot of people on the planet Earth that deserve $128 million. Doctors, surgeons over Carson Wentz. It's terrible. It's the biggest waste of money.
I mean, yeah, it sucks, man, because they're still winning the NFC East. I mean, I don't know. So go back to the game. I mean, Seattle. What about Seattle, though, to wrap this up before we dive into the power rankings? Seattle -6 on the road, bye week. No, they didn't have a bye week. They played Thursday night against the
Cardinals.
That was a big win for Seattle because they came off 2 straight losses.
Yep.
Their defense played better. I'm impressed. I think their defense plays good against the Eagles. I think they pick off Wentz 7,000 times, and I think they win this game, by over a touchdown.
All right.
But you're right. Hold on a second. We'll go into the power rankings. Let's segue this way, though, Joe. The NFC West right now, right? I mean, you got what? The Seahawks and the Rams at 7-3. The Seahawks, this is a big game for them. This division could come down to the end. So that's a big game for them. They need this game. I mean, they should win this game.
They have to win this game. I mean, the Rams are right there. I mean, it's just a matter of who's going to win and who's going to lose. And I think Seattle has that momentum moving forward.
Yeah.
I think the Rams, they're due for a loss. And again, I look at probabilities and all this stuff, right? What must goes up must come down. But I think, like I said, my prediction was Russell Wilson's going to bounce back. I still think he wins MVP. Yeah, they had a couple down games. Okay, now it's time to move up. I think they're going to
win. Tough one because I mean, even look at the NFC East. I mean, you got all 4 teams with 3 wins. You got the tie Philly had with Cincinnati, but after this week, I know the Cowboys play Washington. It's going to come down to those teams playing each other, I would think. But one of those teams is sneaking into the playoffs, and anything can happen in the playoffs. I'm
betting on the better horse here. The better horse is Russell Wilson. You know what I mean? Goff, I just gotta, Russell's having too good of a season for them to lose this division. I'm going Russell on that.
So who you going number 1?
Okay, so power rankings, top 5 here. This one's tough because, again, we're seeing a lot of inconsistencies here with these teams, right? Obviously, it's got to be the Steelers. I still think they can beat the Chiefs. I think because one thing that the Chiefs, why they win is because they put up a lot of points. If the Steelers defense can neutralize the Chiefs to some degree, right? If they played each other, I think Big Ben could put enough points to beat the Chiefs. So I still think the Steelers are the better team because defense outweighs everything. Then I got to go with the Chiefs. Saints, again, they're a little bit up in the air. They're 3 right now record-wise, but the problem is Taysom Hill. Am I sold on him? How does Breeze come back? Does he come back fully healthy? Because those rib injuries, man, they sting, man. If you've got one, they really hurt, especially
last week, Joe, we had half the league at 6-3. Now, obviously, you had some losses, but now you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7-3 teams, I think.
Okay, so here's my top 5. I'm going to go Steelers, Chiefs. That's locked. Now you got some question marks here. Packers are suspect, right? I'm going to go Seahawks. I think the Seahawks start making an emergence back because they're only 7-3. Saying, well, Joe, what about the Rams? What about the Saints? The only difference between the only other 8 team is the Saints, right? So logically, you think that they're in power, but Taysom Hill, I'm not sold on the situation. So I'm going to go Steelers, KC. I'm going to go Seahawks. Then I got to go Rams. And then I'm torn here because I could go Bills or Packers. Packers scare me. I mean, I don't know. I didn't go Allen or Rodgers. I'm going to go Packers. So again, Steelers, Chiefs, what did I say? Seahawks, Rams, Packers. I got to go with that.
And do you have any room for the Raiders? I know they have 4 losses, but they're lost to the Patriots, the Bills, the Buccaneers, and the Chiefs. And they have beaten the Browns, they have beaten the Chiefs, and they have beaten the Saints. They have quality wins and quality losses. They're a sneaky team that I would take the Raiders, I guess, over, I don't know, some of those teams at the end.
Packers or Bills? Raiders over Packers or Bills?
I mean, they beat the Bills, right? Did I say they beat the Bills or they lost to the Bills?
I think they beat the Bills. I have to go back. I don't have it
right here. No, they lost to the Bills by a touchdown. I think the Raiders are playing great football. The Bills are great football too. Yeah, you're right. It's a tough one. I mean, I agree with you. It's going to have to be the Steelers and the Chiefs. I don't know, man. I don't love all the quality. I think the Chiefs are the best team in football right now, and I would have to go with them, even over the Steelers. I mean, I don't know. I think so. I mean, I know you could say they're undefeated. I don't know. It's so tough to call. And you're right. That would be a great matchup, those teams. But afterwards, no matter what order you have them in, the problem is, 3, 4, and 5. Who do you put 3, 4, and 5?
Seahawks, Rams, and Packers or Bills, one of those ones.
You really can't put the Bills at number 3. You know, I mean, if they were 8-2 and they won that game against Arizona, but they're definitely, I don't know, Buffalo. I don't think, I mean, Tennessee and Indianapolis. I mean, Indianapolis right now to me is playing great football, but they have that loss to the Ravens that really kills them. Right.
Right.
I mean, what about Indianapolis? You love them. I mean, they lost to the Jaguars week 1, the Browns, and then the Ravens. I mean, but they beat the Titans, they beat the Packers, beat the Bears and the Vikings. It's so tough. All these teams are from 3 to 7 are like equal.
Right. It's tough, man.
Yeah, I mean, I get you can go any of these teams and it's be okay. You can't really put the Titans over the Colts, but what if the Titans beat the Colts this week? Right. I guess I agree with you. I still like Seattle because they had their 2 losses. I think they'll even out, but I'm not going to go. I'm going to go the Saints, then I'm going to go Seattle, then I'm going to go the Rams.
Okay.
I mean, whatever. It's a crapshoot up until, you just those spots. I mean, the Bills could easily beat they beat the Rams. So how can I put the Bills over the Rams? I don't know. What did I just do?
So you're saying Taysom's good enough to win the next couple games when he plays?
I'm taking him now because he just won. I mean, you're asking me what it is today. I don't know. I mean, they still are 8-2,
Yeah.
I mean, but Green Bay, like if they go play the Saints, like you think Green Bay, I could take Green Bay I think it comes down to head-to-head matchups this year. Like I said, it's not like who's better is going to win as far as like in the rankings. It comes down to head-to-head matchups. You know what I mean? Like if the Raiders play the Chiefs, I'm going to take the Raiders probably. But if any other team plays the Chiefs, you're probably going to take the Chiefs, right? Even though the Raiders aren't in the top 5.
Who's the dark horse to win the Super Bowl this year? I'm going to go. Can you call the Buccaneers a dark horse or no? Not really.
Man, they're so hyped up that they're not a dark horse, even though if the season ended today, they would be the 6th seed. I'm on the playoff page. Actually, I think it's on ESPN's website. And it's like, right now it's the Steelers that have the first round bye is important because it's home field advantage. And it's a bye. There's one bye this year, and that matters because right now you would have the number 2 seed Kansas City playing the Raiders, the number 7 seed. Imagine that. Then you'd have the Bills play the Browns, I believe, and then the Colts and the Titans. I mean, the Colts and the Titans are playing right now. The Bills would beat the Browns. out of those teams in the AFC, I don't know. The NFC, you have the Saints. They'd be playing the Cardinals. Oh, no, they'd have a bye. It would be the Rams and the Cardinals.
Right.
That would be a good game. Then it would be the Packers and the Bucks, another great game. And then the Eagles and the Seahawks.
Right.
I mean, what's a dark horse? You're right, because there's so many good teams in the NFC, and it's so clustered, those 7-3 records, right? So a dark horse, I mean, remember how the Packers won the Super Bowl as a wild card years ago, and you're talking a team like that? I mean, I don't like Arizona. That's a team that could, if they get hot, could run the table. I don't think so, but
Miami's a dark horse. They're 6-4. Not even.
No, they're not that good. They don't have at least listen, I don't like Arizona, man, but I'm going to pull them up for a second. I think Indy is a dark horse to win the Super Bowl because if they get hot and Rivers gets hot, but look at Arizona for a second. I mean, they beat the Seahawks and the Bills. That's their 2 quality wins. The Niners week 1, I guess. But I mean, could they run the table? I don't know. In a stretch, if they get in the playoffs, when Kyler Murray goes on fire, I don't think so. But I think it would have to be a team like the Rams, or the other team I just said, the Colts, a team with a good enough defense to shut down the high-powered offenses. And I know a team like Indianapolis could shut down the Chiefs to a certain extent.
Under the radar. Yeah, they're a little under the radar, the Colts, I think. But again, Rivers has a chip on his shoulder, but I don't know. I don't trust that guy.
Let me ask you this question. To me, when you look at, I mean, it looks like if they get in the playoffs right now you got the Steelers, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Colts, the Titans. I don't know. I mean, if they get in the playoffs, the Steelers, like, do you think they're going to win? Like, I mean, do you see them going to the Super Bowl?
I think so.
Yeah.
But again, playoffs, anything can happen, right? You get a high-powered team like the Buccaneers in the playoffs, they could beat anybody, right? Like, it's tough. So, I mean,
yeah, it is kind of tough. I mean, I don't know. But see, like the Saints, I don't see them as a Super Bowl team. I see them losing.
Me too.
I just see them losing. I mean, I don't know. I see them losing.
I see the Titans losing. I don't think they have enough. I see the Browns losing.
Titans. Yeah, I don't think the Titans have enough either. I mean, they were 9-7 last year. They just had that run and that's all you need. Like you said, you need that dark horse. You need that run. I don't know. Like Baltimore's not even in the playoffs right now. I mean, they'll probably sneak in over Cleveland.
Yep.
But I mean, Green Bay, like, I mean, they could get hot, but are they a dark horse?
No, I think no.
I mean, I could see like a lot of these teams get, I mean, if you look at the NFC, I mean, you have the 7 teams as the Cardinals, then you have the Bears, the Vikings, and Detroit's 4-6, and San Fran. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of good teams in the NFL this year, but not too many. We don't know who the great teams are besides the Chiefs. We don't even know if the Steelers are great yet, even though they're 10-0. So,
that's crazy to say.
They're consistent, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think the Bills could get hot. I think a lot of these teams get hot, but it's come down to matchups. You know, if the Raiders or someone knocked off Kansas City, then all of a sudden, like the Bills are probably better than the Raiders. You know what I mean? But the Bills won't beat the Chiefs. So it's going to come down to matchups.
All right, Tom, that wraps it up, guys. NFL Week 12 predictions. And happy Thanksgiving, man.
Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, guys, make sure you smash thumbs up. Leave your comments below. Let us know your power rankings. Love to hear it. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Tom.